Hello everyone, and welcome to Straight Chilling. Each week we watch and review a horror film for your entertainment. You can send all questions and comments to straightchillingpodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget to keep chilling.
Yeah, we straight chillin', serial killing. 5 cold villains on the mic, got you reeling. 5-star ratings from the floor to the ceiling. If you get your 1 star, no time for feelings. Got a demon DJ, all the 1s and 2s. By the name of someone, so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roast them all over 2. And prepare to hear the legend of the Straight Chillin' crew.
What up, nerds? Welcome to another chilly episode of Straight Chilling. My name is Bob, and I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode number 192, recorded on Sunday, December 9th, 2018. Tonight, we're going to be discussing the winner of the December poll pick, The Shining. Before we get into the review, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First up, calling in from Santa Barbara, California, Randy Gandy G. Landy.
That's me. Hi.
Come on down.
I have no idea why I went with that cadence, but hi, how's it going?
Hi. You look rested.
That's an illusion.
Cool. Last but not least, calling in from Seoul, Southern Korea, my boy, Soju.
What up? It's your boy, Soju Stains, as I've been affectionately referred to, apparently, this weekend.
I love it. I love it.
I love it because it works on several levels. One is, of course, I was Juice Stains before when I was in Jacksonville, and now I live in Seoul, so it's just Seoul Juice Stains. You could go that way. Or what I think is really where it spawned from is just a spin-off Soju Stains, which kind of sounds like Soul Juice Stains.
Soul Juice.
Yeah, either way, it works.
I juiced your soul.
It's one of those things that it's one of those things that really needs a breakdown. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem. It also could just be my deep, soul, that I bring to the cast.
Oh, yeah.
It's probably that.
It probably has something to do with how soulful and deep you are. Tell me again about that Yabo's rule of yours.
Yeah, man's got to have a code, Randy. Man's got to have a code.
Yeah. If that code is an extra half star, if there's tits in a movie, then you're the deepest man in America. And you're not in America.
I'm not in America, so.
There you go.
Gracious. We got a little bit of housekeeping to tackle real quick. Just a reminder that the January poll pick is posted on Patreon. If you support us at the $5 level or above, you can vote. You're voting between the Descent pieces and Scanners. Make sure you do that before the end of December. January 1st, you won't be able to vote anymore. And also, another reminder, we're doing our 200th episode just in a few weeks, and we're going to have a Q&A section on that episode. So if there's any question that you would like to ask anybody on the show, whether it's regarding horror or just anything else, really, any burning questions, go ahead and send those in to us. And we'll answer them on episode 200 for you. You can pick our brains.
Can I send in questions?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
What do you want to ask?
Somebody on my behalf, please ask the question why, and we'll try and get to that.
Can someone ask, how dare you? Who do you think you are?
Where do you get off?
Where do you get off is the question I want to ask.
Holy shit. I think that's it for the housekeeping. Short and sweet.
I wonder what is a cooter questions we're going to get.
How much time do you have?
I can't tell you how many of those questions we get.
Which is
we need to do a better
That is legitimate. There's a reason for that.
I know, but I feel like maybe there's a need for like an all cooter episode that we can reference. Maybe we could do like the cooter breakdown or something.
Oh, man.
Need to release our findings to the world.
We got to do a better job running down the profile each episode quickly before we decide who the cooter is. It's our job, It's not easy, but somebody's got to do it. Gentlemen, let's go ahead and get into what we've been watching this week.
Hey gang, what you been watching?
Hey, Randy, what you been watching?
What have I been watching? So since yesterday, I have not watched a whole lot because Smash Bros. Came out, and I've been giving that a whirl.
Did you buy it, Randy?
Yeah. I didn't get to buy the last one because I never went with the Wii U, but I bought the Switch, and I've been playing Smash Brothers, and it's a lot of fun. It's immensely difficult to play with just the one Joy-Con controller, though, so I do not recommend that, and I think everybody expected that. So,
the hell's a Joy-Con?
That's what they call their controller. It's like the two sides, and you can play them. I'm not going to go through that whole explanation, but look it up.
Controller.
But, basically, the full controller is pretty necessary, I think, and so that's been a lot of fun. The adventure mode is a lot more robust than in previous versions, so I like that. I always like the adventure mode. So, yeah, aside from that, what have I been watching? I did watch Rare Exports for the first time, which I brought up on our Slack channel, and I've never seen it before, but I had it's been on the back burner every season for 4 years, something like that, since I first heard about it, and I can't believe how long I waited to watch it because it's pretty fun. It's a good fun like Christmas holiday horror movie. I am very into it. I don't know if it'll be a permanent every year watch or anything like that, but yeah, it's fun, and it's kind of tough to talk about though without spoiling things. So I don't know. I was trying to explain it to Becky, but she in order to not spoil it for her, I kind of was like, it's about a kid, and he's in Finland. Some weird stuff happens, and then it gets even weirder, and then it ends weird too. So there you go. Aside from that, I've been rewatching Community. Got Hulu, rewatching Community.
Nice.
It's a lot of fun. Good fucking show. Miss it. Aside from that, not a whole lot.
Cool. Juice. Soul Juice. What you been watching?
Keeping it on the old Christmas season, of course. I popped Krampus in, which I feel like I like that movie. Just as the years keep going, I like it more. I don't know why. I know it's coming, but those damn cookies, man, it doesn't, it's the one thing I feel like in that movie that just,
it's really the most cartoonish part of the movie by far.
Baked.
And that's,
well, because everything else, the aesthetic and everything else is so specific, and it's so old school, and even the mask of the elves and the way the toys are constructed, it's got this really gritty old school aesthetic look to it. These damn cookies show up and they just look so ridiculous. Just what the fuck? Why would there be evil gingerbread cookies? Why is that even a thing? I don't know. Whatever. But still, a fucking great movie. The combination of Trick or Treat and then Krampus coming out, it's just such a great. I wish that dude would make more seasonal. I wish that dude would just go on a bender and make every fucking season.
Where's my Arbor Day horror?
Sure, that dude kills it, man. And Bad Santa, I watched Bad Santa. Fucking hilarious. That movie has me busting a gut every time. I just, it's just visceral. I just think it's fucking hilarious. And what other Chris? Die Hard. I watched Die Hard. Good. So I'm just splooging out that Christmas season, I just got to get on it.
Gotta get on it.
Trying to work them all through.
I watched some Christmas stuff as well. It's all new stuff. So I watched 3 new Christmas horror movies this week. First one is called All the Creatures Were Stirring. Directed by Rebecca and David Ian McKendry. It's an anthology Christmas joint with kind of an interesting wraparound. It's this couple going on a first date, and they go to this theater, and they're watching these short plays, basically. And as the play starts, it slowly morphs into the short, and then it ends, and then another weird play starts, and then that morphs into the next short.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of a neat setup. Not a big fan of it though. I don't know that I would particularly recommend it. It's pretty low budget. Some of the segments are fine, but it's overall kind of misses the mark. There's one with a murderous reindeer that was pretty sweet. I enjoyed that.
That's the thing, man. Why are anthologies like so prevalent? Like they're always like,
because there's a lot of people trying to break into the industry, and like a lot of people would rather take their shots broad and scattershot with a bunch of different directors and try and get something like that than
All the
actually
same
fund a whole
director, though.
movie all to the same
I
director.
gotcha. I guess
Oh,
it's
that
like
one's just all the same director, really?
Yeah, same directors.
Oh, all the same director.
There's a
Oh,
husband and
that's
wife co-director. They directed them all. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That is a little unique, like right now. I think.
an anthology.
Yeah.
It's like a split EP, I guess, in the old music biz. trying to just piggyback
down
off
music
everybody.
style.
That's just expensive. You got to split the bill.
Yeah, I guess so, huh?
I also watched
All right.
a movie called Sleigh Bells, Belles, directed by Spooky Dan, my boy Spooky Dan.
What the fuck is that?
I don't know. I just fucking love that name. I love that he goes by Spooky Dan.
Does it legit say directed by Spooky Dan?
Yeah, that's what he goes by. Yeah. So this is definitely
Dude, I hope something says directed by Soul Juice Stains one
Soul
day.
Juice. It's gonna be a porn. It is a porn.
Oh my god!
It's Cooters. Backdoor Cooters 3 is the name of it.
It's gonna have at least 0.5 on the scale. I'll tell you that much.
Sleigh Bells was put out by Dread Central Presents, which I've been kind of working through their catalog lately. And I don't know, this movie is like dumb fun. It's about these like 3 urban explorers. They have like a little YouTube channel. They break into this like old kind of theme park that's like Santa's house, basically. It's like, it's all Santa and Christmased up, but it like went out of business, so it's all decrepit and whatnot. And they go in there and they find like this dude who claims to be the real Santa Claus, and then
Oh shit!
oh, that was weird. I guess for
Yeah,
fun.
what the fuck?
I don't know. They find this dude who claims to be the real Santa Claus, and then there's a Krampus shows up, and they fight, and it's all like stylized in this way where it's very the colors are very saturated, and it has these like crazy dubstep music drops that just like happen throughout it. So it's like kind of a wild style, but I had a lot of fun with it. There may or may not be some Krampus dick as well. So yeah, that I look forward to.
Minus half stars.
But it's a Krampus dick. The last one I watched was the newest installment from that Into the Dark anthology series. It's on Hulu that I've been talking about. They put out a new movie every month, and it's like related to a holiday that happens in that month. So this was obviously the Christmas one.
Is this the Donnie Darko, a rip-off rabbit thing?
What?
It's called Puka, and I know what you're talking about. Not really. It's nothing like Donnie Darko. It's this holiday toy release called Puka, and it's this weird doll, and it'll randomly record things that it hears. So if you're just having conversation or if you're talking to it, it'll record things at will, basically, and it'll replay them either in a happy voice or like an angry voice, depending on its mood. Like you never know what mood it's gonna be in. So they hire this actor to dress up in a puka suit to help like promote the doll as it's coming out. And the suit sort of has that same effect on him. Like he just his mood just changes against his will, and he kind of like starts freaking out, and he starts to lose like his sense of reality, and like he's like blacking out and like missing time, and he doesn't really know like exactly what he's doing during those moments, and he'll have these visions of him murdering people. He's not sure if he's really doing it or not. So it's kind of like a psychological thing. And it starts off, it feels like it's a very obvious metaphor. And then as the movie goes, it spins away from that and becomes something a little bit more than what you think it's gonna be. And I like it a lot, man. It's probably my favorite of the 3. Again, this like Into the Dark series, highly recommend that shit. It's good. Put your eyeballs on it.
Sounds like Donnie Darko to me, Bob.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god.
I don't know. Do you think there's going to be a bunch of Hot Topic shirts dedicated to this short, or
Just gonna say
what? What do you think?
Find out. Dude, I
Puka.
bet next year they're going to be selling those damn Puka dolls at Hot Topic. You know it. You know they are. You know it. You know they are.
They're going to be selling Soul Juice t-shirts in Hot Topic.
I hope so.
Oh god. Well,
oh God. It wasn't enough under the breath. You gotta like get it just right to get Rob to get under the breath just enough. The sweet spot.
that one wasn't earnest. That was more like a joking one, I guess. I don't know. Nuances. That's it. That's all I've been watching. Let's get into the main feature and talk about The Shining with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
What is on the back of the box? A family heads to an isolated hotel for the winter where an evil spiritual presence influences the father into violence, while his psychic son sees horrific forebodings from both past and future.
Yeah.
From 1980, directed by Stanley Kubrick, of course. We've all seen this movie before. I know we have. I'm pretty sure we're all going to recommend this one as well.
Are you kidding?
Am I incorrect in assuming
this
that?
bullshit?
This piece of shit?
This fucking piece of shit. I can't believe they even printed this on a fucking Blu-ray. What's the point?
Waste of tape.
I want my 2.5 hours back.
Waste of digital space.
Kubrick, he's fucking shit.
What a hack.
He's fucking shit. So
Dude,
yeah,
Kubrick
Who
does
will not stand
some shit to me, man. I'll get into it after the spoiler drop, but that motherfucker, he's got my number.
Yeah, he does. He's got your number.
He's got my number specifically.
Told you I need your assistance on my new film from beyond the grave.
Did he just call me Soul Jew?
Huh? Told you.
Oh god. So yeah, watch this movie. If you haven't seen The Shining, it's obviously a classic. Put your eyeballs on it. Check it out. 3 thumbs up here from the Straight Chilling crew. I'm going to drop the spoiler warning, and then we can go ahead and get into it.
Spoiler warning.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Oh God. So it's a movie. It's got a Jack Nicholson in it. And do we need to spend a lot of time breaking down the beats of this movie?
No, I don't really think so.
I mean, we can give a broad. Just in case there might be some youngster 14-year-old just getting into his horror, with Straight Chilling. Let me get into it with you, youngster. Let Soul Juice lay it out for you, bro.
Come by the fire, as the old man Soul Juice states.
Sit on my naked lap.
Bob's always dropping weird kitty shit all the time.
What? Always? What the fuck are you talking about?
Oh man, if I had a nickel.
God damn.
Come by the fire, children, and I'll tell you about a little film called The Shitting.
So I will start by saying that my first exposure to this movie came from Treehouse of Horror. Years in advance of me, and I can't ever separate that. If you have ever watched The Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors, the fucking Shining is a classic one. It's The Shinning, and it's Bart. Homer is Jack, and fucking Willie is the groundskeeper or whatever. The chef, I guess. This stuff, yeah. And that shit is that is my first exposure. So much of my early horror exposure came from The Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors.
Well, I mean, between those two things, every part of this movie, for the most part, is so deeply known and ubiquitous. You can reference any singular scene in this movie all the way down to the furry giving a blowjob, and everyone in the room will know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it is hard,
especially in among horror fans. But I can't the twins in the hallway, the fucking all work and no
blood
play
elevator,
the blood elevator, fucking the I don't know, all that shit.
The maze.
It is all so deep.
Here's Johnny, even though that's
America. Yeah. Well, Here's Johnny. I would argue that Here's Johnny is much better known now for this movie than it's Johnny Carson with the later generations who didn't grow up with Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
So
even down to the pattern on the carpet,
Yeah.
You can literally see that pattern on. I have a sweater with that pattern on it, and people are like, "Hey, The Shining!" Blah.
Yeah,
like, get out of here! I wear this for me. No, that's not true. I totally elicit those comments, but yeah, it's fucking. This is a cultural milestone. This movie, like, if you haven't seen this movie, you need to stop listening to our dumb assholes and go watch it. Watch it now, if only just to be on top of your shit. Be a part of the world, you fucking loser. I'm just kidding.
You uncultured swine.
Get your ass in gear, motherfucker. Go watch this, and then Fast and the Furious, and then you're set.
This movie, this is like one of the classics that I watched and I didn't like it first. I'd watched this movie like 3 or 4 times before I like legitimately can say I enjoyed it for some reason. I don't know. It took me a minute to get into it. What?
It really takes a long time for some people.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
Like kind of like
put me on blast.
For one of the things that I specifically like took out this viewing and was like, okay, I need to ingrain this in my brain, because the same thing happened when we watched the OG Suspiria this year too, where like you watch a movie for like the first time or even the second time and something like gets ingrained in your mind. And I even mentioned it last week. I was like, God damn, The Shining's so long. Then I watched it this time and it's only 2 hours, and I know it like so well now that it moves actually pretty quick. So the timing actually honestly really doesn't bother me. I was like under the impression, just like mentally in my mind, it's like, oh god damn, it's so long that it was like 2.5 hours, but it's like just under 2 hours, and it really moves fine for me now.
The one that I watched is just under 2.5 hours.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, I watched on Netflix.
Really? I don't know. Maybe it's wrong. Okay. Maybe they lied to you.
So
I watched the 20-hour version, but that's just me.
No, that's good.
No, but which one is yours, Randy?
I didn't look at the timestamp, so I really don't know. But it was on Netflix too, so I'm assuming it's the same as you watched.
Okay, yeah, then Bob's got some special kind of shit.
He's got the cut that's got like a half hour of Silent Night, Deadly Night.
I think there's only one cut. A half hour. I'd watch that. As far as I know, there's only one.
Well, I don't know. Mine's definitely, because I was specifically looking, because like when it started, I was like, oh, it's like 155 or whatever, like just under 2. I was like, oh man, like I said, I have this impression that it's so long, but
that's 2.5 hours.
I never had
155 minutes. That's 2.5 hours.
Oh, is that? Oh, maybe I was just assuming it was just under 2. No, but I think the way that Netflix is, I think they separate the hour out. I think it's like 1 hour, 55 minutes, but maybe not. I could be wrong. Either way, the timing
easily verifiable and not the sort of thing we need to spend.
Nope.
Yeah. Nope. Either way, it doesn't bother me at this point anymore. If that was my first impression of it, it's not any longer. I don't have a problem with the pacing of this film anymore.
Speaking to that, I remember like, I don't know, I always loved this movie. I watched it for the first time when I was like 13 and maybe earlier, but like all the way through my teens, what I thought about this movie in terms of length is that it's like, okay, well, it's a trudge of a first hour or first like half, and then it's a dope shit, so you just have to wait it out. And that is not a thing I think anymore. I love the first part of this. I love the whole thing. Like, it doesn't work without like separating out components for me as much as it does, like as much as it used to. It all kind of works so well and blends. And I don't know if that's a byproduct of me having seen it so much and focusing all my energy on that last half, and now I'm like, the first half still feels fresher to me because I'm paying more attention to it. I don't know. I don't want to go into all the psychology of that, but I like it. Like, I just like it a lot more. Every time I see it, I'm more solidified in my liking of it. When people ask me what my favorite horror movie is, typically I'll say this movie because A, it's the simpler answer than I don't know, it changes all the time. And B, it's a fucking great movie and very few people are going to argue with you about it. So,
yeah,
you know, I don't know. This movie holds the fuck up. If nothing else, like I said, it's a cultural milestone.
It cracks me up that Stephen King doesn't like this version of it. Like, I guess it was too different from his novel, which I haven't read, so I can't really get into the specifics of it. But I think it's hilarious that it's just like such a renowned film that everybody seems to love except for Stephen King.
Well, actually, I could spread a little bit, not a lot. I could elaborate on that a little bit. I have so much trivia, you guys. I'm going to be bleeding trivia this whole episode.
Dude, drop some knowledge, Randy.
So I have a whole section of trivia that I personally am entitling Stephen King doesn't want to get it. And here we go. So there are several bits of this and they're kind of long. So just stay with me and just jump in whenever. Stephen King was quite disappointed in the final film. While admitting that Stanley Kubrick's visuals were stunning, he said that it was surface and not substance. He often described the film as, quote, a fancy car without an engine, which is just straight bullshit. Like, if you don't watch this movie and see, okay, this is like a man cracking under the pressures of his life and his addiction by putting himself in this setting that's potentially supernatural, but maybe just his own fucking breakdown. If you don't want to see it, you don't want to see it. You don't want to get it. Stephen King, you don't want to get it.
Well, and I can understand too, because I think I've read some of his critiques in the way, and the thing is I haven't read the book either. Mm-hmm. But in watching it, there's a lot of things that go unexplained that I assume are dived deeper into in the book. But I think the overall personality of Jack is very different, I think, from the impression I've gotten from reading about why Stephen King doesn't like this movie. Is I think he's more maybe more sympathetic in the book. He's more remorseful, I guess, about some of his past actions and the relationship he has with his wife and his kid. That's the impression I've gotten. So I could understand if it's your book and if people are changing the characters, there's not that many characters to deal with anyways. But I could understand. But this movie, just in the art form alone, if you can't separate that, though, if you can't recognize just the way the soundtrack is built and the way the shots, then I don't know what to tell you, because just as a piece of film, whether you think the characters were done correctly or not is fantastic.
Yeah, I can see why he would obviously you have the right to hold your own story to a certain regard. Okay, this is my story that they're telling. But he has liked movies with his name on attached to it that are far shittier than this by a mile. He what is that movie with the green? He directed, what is that movie with the fucking Green Goblin where he was on coke the whole time and he actually directed it? Maximum Overdrive. He directed a movie while on coke continuously, and he wants to shit on this movie. I understand. This is. I think it's really more of a professional quarrel between him and Kubrick, because Kubrick A gets so much credit for this movie, and B is such a big personality in and of himself, and we'll get to his ass. That I think that they just both had a vision of what this story was saying. And, you think that the author has the first rights of refusal, but Kubrick got to make the movie he wanted to make. He made it to a T exactly the way he wanted to. So, and if it's not the same as the book, who gives a shit? You don't hear J.K. Rowling shitting on the shitty Harry Potter movies just because they're not exactly the way she had it.
Whoa, Randy.
She fucking loves them. I don't like the Harry Potter movies. I think they're dumb. I love the books. at me all you want. I am not listening. But this is
don't at me, brah.
I don't I just for Stephen King to shit on a movie that is clearly, even if it's not your tale anymore, it's clearly got something going on, to actively close your ears and eyes and ignore the obvious themes and stuff that are being explored here. That's on you, man. You just don't want to see. You don't want to get it. You don't want to get it.
I did hear that he had another problem with Jack's character, where he's essentially crazy from go, in the from the beginning of the movie, even on the car ride up to the hotel before they even get there. He's just the way he's talking and the look he has on his face, he already looks insane, and he hasn't even spent a single night in the hotel yet. And then he's crazy, and he just gets crazier as the movie goes, which doesn't.
Well, I think that just adds to the discussion of a film. I think it makes it better because, like Randy was saying, like if you want to dissect it, like is it really supernatural? Is it like just
that's the central conceit of this movie, but not of the book. The book is very explicit.
Yeah, and that's why I can understand. But that's like if like you have like a beef with it, like well, it's not really my story. But still, to not be able to appreciate the film is ridiculous.
I think that he has gone on record. I don't have evidence of this, but I feel like I heard that on record he's softened this opinion quite a bit. Yeah, like he's like, well, I just think like I don't remember. I don't want to put words in his mouth at this point, but I feel like I read something to the effect of like he was like, well, you know, years later, looking back, I was probably just being protective of my own work or something along those lines. Yeah, which makes perfect sense to me. And you know, like either way, Stephen King, like you know what, you got all the clout in the world in terms of storytelling. I'm not going to tell you not to have the opinion you have, especially of your own work, but I just don't feel like, based on the opinion that I just read out loud off of this fucking trivia page, I don't think that's based in anything other than personal rancor and not actually the film. That's my own opinion on that. Anyway, so moving on this, some more stuff about fucking Stephen King. Stephen King said Kubrick's version of Wendy Torrance is one of the most misogynistic characters ever put on film. He said, quote, she's just there to scream and be stupid.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing about that. Now, I don't completely agree with that, but I have a note specifically. Like, I'm taking notes watching this movie. I wrote, if that chick was my wife, I'd probably want to kill her too. Like, there's something about this chick. And it's not just this chick, it's this whole movie. This movie, like, pisses me off like on a visceral like this everything about this movie gets under my skin but in like a fantastic kind of way. And it's weird too because I cannot stand Space Odyssey or whatever 2001. I can't watch it. I can't fucking watch that movie. It's the same kind of thing but in a negative kind of thing where it gets under my skin and I have to shut it off. This movie from the beginning, even when they're doing like the shots of the mountains and his fucking soundtrack, man, it just like viscerally like angers me. Like I don't know, or like it makes me so uncomfortable. It is the most of any film this in 2001, it's the most like physical reactions I've ever had to film. And 2001, I have to shut off. And The Shining, like I just recognize it as brilliance. It's this weird thing that I have, but her fucking tone, like the way she screams and like says his name, like Jack, it's just like it like angers me. It's like it's like nails on a chalkboard, like would make you like physically uncomfortable. Like the tone of her voice, even when she's not screaming, like she's got this like little kind of accent. Everything about her makes me mad, and like
you don't empathize with her at all.
No, I do, okay. I do, but at the same time, though, she lets like throughout the whole movie, I kind of get the like misogynistic kind of thing because she essentially just like takes all of his shit, like even like in the beginning, like he like freaks out and like get the fuck out or whatever, and she's like, okay, Jack. Like she has like no like personality. She has like nothing to her, like no kind of swagger. Even the way she fucking swagger. Even when she holds a bat, the way she holds a bat drives me insane.
My gosh, dude.
I know, but it's so. And here's the thing: I know it's ridiculous. It's so visceral. I'm just like, what? Who holds a bat like that? Like, it's just, I know it's ridiculous. I know it is, but it's a physical reaction and that I like, it's kind of the same thing with the kid. Like from the beginning, the kid, like he's creepy. He's a creepy kid. He's got his little finger friend that he talks to and he talks in a weird voice. So throughout this whole movie, like Tony, it's just this crazy pack of like characters that like I empathize with her and her situation, but at the same time I'm just like along for the ride. It's just this wild ride to where I'm not like super sorrowful for her. I don't know. It's wild, man. I love this movie though.
I think like I mean, I get what you're saying because those characters are taken like individually. Some of those things, I could see those things bothering you. The screams and stuff, they're not meant to be pleasing to the ear. They're not meant to be anything. They're meant to get under your skin in some way. Her like quietly accepting your quote unquote lack of swagger for her. I understand what you're saying, but to me it reads, and I think it's supposed to, and I especially think that after writing some of this trivia, that it's supposed to read as fragility. And that's what I take from this movie is or the story here that Kubrick's put on screen. This is a family that is already in the process of dissolving because it is a family that is it's on the precipice of falling apart because you've got an alcoholic father who has physically abused a child who is psychologically scarred and impaired, and a mother who is only with him at this point. You've got to think in order to out of a sense of duty, it's out of it I don't know what else to do. It's not. Yeah. This is not. She's not a strong personality in her own right. She's not supposed to be, and hence why she's taking a lot of bullshit. She's somebody who has her own psychological scarring, and this is all being compounded by the fact they're in a haunted goddamn fucking hotel for months. Yeah. And. Or maybe not haunted. Maybe it's just accelerating the process of dissolution and his descent and Jack's descent into madness. Maybe he was kind of insane already. Yeah. He's got clearly they've all got a facade going in. He's got the facade of, oh yeah, I don't have any good ideas, but this will do it. Yeah. This will turn me into a great writer. I'll get my big break and not have to be at work at a car wash anymore. And she's like, yeah, of course you will. And I'm going to support you. I'm support you. We got a job. We can take care of the kid. He's had trouble in school. So this will be good for all of us. And the kid's just sort of riding along, trying to cope with being a psychic and not understanding how or why he's hearing shit and why there's a little boy that lives in his fucking throat.
It's fucking nuts.
I don't know. I know. Exactly. So you got this character of Wendy who's all this shit is true. Then they get to the hotel and shit's accelerating for Jack. And for her, she's watching her husband descend into madness, basically become more and more abusive to her and being isolated from him. She's being more and more isolated from her son, she eventually becomes abused under mysterious circumstances in a fucking haunted goddamn hotel. Her fragility is tantamount to the whole movie. She's the only person by the end of this movie that that I really gravitate towards as a central character. Danny a little bit, but he only really comes into his own at the very end when he conceives of one good plan that saves the day basically for him. Yeah. Before that, he had completely descended and lost his personality to this Tony character. This alternate personality. You think he's got a psychosis, so you can't really attach to it. Wendy's the only one that we can attach to, and she's not doing what we want her to do. She's doing what that character would do, which is support her husband into a fault until, and then wait way too long to try and get out of there. All these things, they make perfect sense within the psychology of that character to me. And I'm not saying that she's she's not Shaft. She's fucking Wendy Torrance. She's not a badass. She's swinging a bat at her husband who she loves and who she's only supported and only ever been kind to as he tells her he's going to bash her head in.
Shaft has swagger, let me tell you.
Well, and everybody in this movie does an amazing job acting wise. I mean, I'm not saying she does a great job, but I understand a little bit she is a pushover. But I still think she's a great character. I think as an actress, she did a great job. I just had that physical reaction to where but it's not just her. It's the way this whole movie is crafted. And I will say that on just top of that, everybody kills it with the acting. I think my favorite scene this watch around was the bar scene, the gold room scene.
Yeah. I love that fucking
that scene is
Lloyd. That actor, man,
fucking Lloyd. And
White
just
man's
even with Grady, so much of this film, so much of that scene, I was like, dude, fucking Heath Ledger, watch this shit over and over and over for his fucking Joker. You can see so much of it in that scene. I fucking love fucking Lloyd. Oh my god, I love it. The dialogue.
He's just so
Jack Nicholson
blank.
fucking kills it. Like his shifts in like tone and mannerisms are like just brilliant to watch. It's just like mesmerizing to me.
The way that Nicholson controls his face in this movie is fucking masterclass shit. Like everything he does shows a slipping of control. It's insane how good he is in it. And I don't mean that as a pun, but it is like, it is admirable. Like just the way he reacts to things with a slack jawed, like it's like he's on acid all the time at a certain point. Like, I am in such awe of him, and Lloyd, that actor who plays Lloyd, who I don't know the actor's name off the top of my head, but he kills it, man. I've never seen somebody portray so much menace with such quiet and blank demeanor in my entire life. It's great. Grady does a great job as well. Like the way it comes down to a lot of the directing choices for sure, but the directing wouldn't matter if the acting wasn't good. So, I mean, you can only do so much from one chair on the set, you know.
Even that kid like kills it, man, and he's kind of the same way. I mean, he does a good job with acting, but the way they portray the character is that he's a creepy kid. So of course I sympathize with this kid who's in this hotel and he's psychic and his dad beats him. Like, yeah, I'm like sympathetic to him, but at the same time I'm like, that's a fucking creepy kid. So in the same way I'm like, yeah, I feel bad for this woman, but at the same time, like, she's kind of annoying, like she is. Like, and then I feel like that's intentional.
Yes.
In the same
it's intentional
way,
so that you can, that's how you are supposed to sympathize with Jack. And it's like, oh, I can see how Jack might be annoyed when he gets interrupted, but that's no reason for him to say, get the fuck out of here.
Because absolutely not. Like,
how the day's going.
And I feel like that makes the tension real. Like from the beginning, even in that car ride scene, you're like, this family, like you said, is not okay. And you can feel it. You don't have to be like talked at or whatever to like know like, oh, he doesn't have to say like our marriage is in shambles, I think this will save it. No, none of that bullshit. It's like you can feel it in every scene. Like nobody is okay with each other.
Nobody's okay with each other, and nobody's being honest about it either at all.
Yeah, and the scene where Jack, like the kid goes into his bedroom and he's like talking with him like, oh, you like it here and stuff like that. It's just so good. It's all so goddamn good. Like when you talk about like in a movie, like versus like exposition, like feeling something or seeing something, like this movie just has it all. The tension is so real in every single scene. It's fucking brilliant. It really is.
Yeah.
Do you want me to continue down? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah. No, I was just going to talk about some of like the cinematic choices, like specifically one of the most notable ones is like the tracking shot of like the big wheel just like rolling around throughout the hotel. It's like fucking incredible. And then again, like the helicopter shot too. We talked about the opening scene a little bit when the family is like actually driving, but like that, it's like so expansive and massive, and it sort of like sets the tone. It's like this big, wide, empty shot that kind of gets you ready to exist in this big, empty hotel for the rest of the movie. But it's like beautiful and sort of ominous at the same time, and the score is fantastic as well. I don't know. It's the color choices are very intentional as well. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. I think that. I think pretty much every shot is laudable in this movie. Like I can't think of, except for maybe the reverse shot and the interview scene, something like a couple of those more mundane scenes. Like maybe those are a little bit like stayed or a little bit safe, but they are intentionally so because those are safe scenes. Those are scenes where we get our groundings, and then you get these big expansive shots of the Rockies or whatever, and then you get like these fucking amazing shots like following Danny as he rolls along. Then you have all these fucking amazing shots of like I don't know, like running down the hedge maze or zooming into the hedge maze from above as Jack is looking down at a model and then realizing that it is the true hedge maze with Danny and his mom in there. Like shit like that. That's great. That's fluid storytelling to me, like in terms of visuals.
Does anybody think the shot of the elevator is a little off because all the other shots are so amazing?
Like with the blood
I like
flowing
that
out
shot.
of it?
Fine.
Huh?
The shot with the blood flowing out of the elevator?
Yeah.
No, I think that's like pretty iconic and spooky.
It's
as
definitely
hell.
iconic. It's like
It's not as effective for me. As
it's not
some of those
centered.
Yeah.
It's
I
like
gotcha. Yeah.
it's like to the right. I don't know. I've
I didn't
always
notice
just kind of like noticed like he has these amazing shots, especially like we were talking about the carpet and like with the big wheel and stuff. You have these like patterns and stuff, and it's always kind of bothered me a little bit that the shot of the elevator, and it might just be how I don't know the way they could do it because of the effect, but like it's just like kind of off and it's kind of weird. I don't know. Watch it again and think about that.
I haven't noticed that, but I was just gonna also like put a pin on that, or put an exclamation point on what I was saying earlier. Every shot in this movie, I think the reason that they're so brilliant is that I think every shot in this movie is accentuating the isolation. Like the big expansive rooms, seeing a kid roll down hallway after hallway with no one there, and then suddenly someone's fucking there. Like that's just brilliant. Like that's all you have to do is find creative ways to show isolation. This giant, like high from above shot of the mom and son walking around in a fucking giant hedge maze. Everything is giant. They are tiny. They stand no chance against whatever forces of nature happen to be there. It's great. It's great. I could continue talking about Stephen King and his relationship to this movie if you guys want.
If you got more,
If
yeah.
you want.
I definitely got more. It's an endless wellspring on this shit. So prior to hiring Diane Johnson as his writing partner, Stanley Kubrick rejected a screenplay written by Stephen King. King's script was much more literal adaptation of the novel and was a much more traditional horror film than Kubrick would ultimately make. He was considering hiring Johnson because he admired her novel, The Shadow Knows, but when he found out she was a doctor of Gothic studies, he became convinced she was the person for the job. And it ends there. I don't know what that entails, why that was appealing to him, but I mean, I guess just because he was going for sort of like a Gothic thing, but I don't know exactly what that would entail in this movie. Also, this is interesting. Stephen King was first approached by Stanley Kubrick about making this movie via an early morning phone call. England is 5 hours ahead of Maine in time zones. King suffered from a hangover, shaving, and at first thinking one of his kids was injured, was shocked when his wife told him that Kubrick was really on the phone. King recalled that the first thing Kubrick did was to immediately start talking about how optimistic ghost stories are because they suggest that humans survive death. He said,
Randy, you're totally...
Paused for several moments before finally... Oh, no.
Oh, you're good. I think you caught up.
How are we doing?
You're good.
You're back.
Sorry, that was the ghost.
Start back at optimistic that about ghost stories because people survive death.
Yeah, because people survive death. And what about hell? King asked him. Kubrick paused for several moments before replying, I don't believe in hell. King replied, stating there are people who believe in hell and that they fear it more than death itself. This was tremendously effective in helping Kubrick understand the feel of the story. So they started out sort of like on opposite sides of some sort of ideological divide, but they definitely met at a few moments, like in a few ways. The problem becomes that Kubrick was far more concerned with, the fragility of humanity than he was with ghosts and specters, which I think works to make this film fucking the icon that it is.
Certainly does, because I like that it is more about the family. Like we said, like it's from those beginning scenes where you're in the car and then where you're in the bedroom and then you're in the office. It's about the family, and to question whether or not there are ghosts is kind of, and even some of it, like the Shining part of it, that the kid is psychic and can call in this guy who really, doesn't do. He shows up to get murdered.
Yeah,
shows up to bring a cat with him.
I would
snow cat.
Exactly. Yeah, I would be fine, honestly, if that wasn't even included. If if it ended with the son tricking his dad in the maze to leave him to die, and they, survived out their time in the hotel. Like, the supernatural part of this movie, except for the dialogue he has in the bar, is actually like the lowest on the totem pole from me, because even that you could just drum up to him being crazy. Like even the ending, like, oh, he was here all along or whatever. It's like, the family and the craziness of them is what is the most intriguing.
Well, that's what's most. It has to be what's most intriguing, because he gives specific breadcrumbs on both sides of that fence.
Yeah,
the fence side that shows that he's just a crazy person, and the side that shows definitively that there are ghosts. There are things that prove both of those. There's evidence to both of those ends in this movie. There's no way that was unintentional. So you got to think that lingering question was supposed to be there in order to accentuate the fact that the core of the movie is about this family and how fragile they started and how easily they broke apart when tested in any way.
Also, the idea of him being like, we're going to be here for 5 months alone, especially when that woman already like kind of annoys me. Like imagining like having a wife and like knowing and like seeing this woman and like just not even knowing her, but the way she talks like viscerally just like annoys me. Like I just had this reaction to it. The idea planted by just saying like, we're going to be here for 5 months and seeing those expansive hallways and just the tension continually to build. You're just like, oh my God, like that's such a real feeling that I feel like we can all imagine. Like, shit, like that sucks, or like that's tough. It's just, oh my God, this fucking movie. That's
to close my Stephen King doesn't want to get it section. Let's talk about how Jack Nicholson was cast. Stephen King tried to talk Stanley Kubrick out of casting Jack Nicholson in the lead, suggesting instead either Michael Moriarty, who I don't know, or Jon Voight. King said he felt that watching either of these normal-looking men gradually descend into madness would have immensely improved the dramatic thrust of the storyline. So let it be known worldwide that Stephen King does not care for Jack Nicholson's fucking face. And that almost ruined this movie. Jon Voight is not a good choice. I'm just going to put that out there.
Thank God Kubrick was like, fuck that noise.
Yeah. And that's the thing, man. We always say you got to have a no man, you know, like good for Kubrick for just being like not being a like fanboy, like, oh my God, Stephen King, or, you know, trying to be like, I understand wanting to be respectful with somebody's work, but like sometimes you just got to do your thing, you know? You just gotta be like, nah, bro.
That's a double-edged sword, though, because a lot of directors have made that similar decision. Rob Zombie and really fucked the pooch on.
Well, no, Rob Zombie's the guy that needs the no man. Though. See, in this, I'm comparing. Stephen King and Rob Zombie would be the same person in this movie, not Kubrick and Rob Zombie.
No, because he's adapting something that already exists and.
But he writes it. But he writes it every time, though. That's the problem. See, Stephen King has a written attachment to it. He's like, I want to see the way I have these characters in my head fleshed out. And Kubrick's like, nah, like I got your story, like I get it, but I'm going this way. So like Rob Zombie needs the note. Rob Zombie's the Stephen King in this scenario.
I don't think so, because he directed the movie that he wrote that was an adaptation of a previous movie, the way that Kubrick was adapting a previous existing book.
Justin's just saying they both do whatever the fuck they want because nobody can tell them otherwise. That's all he's saying.
I can see that. But
Rob Zombie needs someone to wrangle him in.
What I'm saying is that fucking Stephen King, like having the original creator or whatever come in and tell you what to do, you can say no to that, but it can have negative results just as quickly as it can have positive results. And I think by far the negative results outstrip the positive when you strip out certain things from an adaptation. That's one of the perils of adapting anything, though. So, I mean, what are you going to do? The fortunate thing about this movie is that it happened at a time when people weren't so precious about the source material, and a director like Kubrick, who obviously had plenty of clout at the time, could get away with doing his own thing. The problem with that is that it can go really wrong really easily. Also, just a little side note here. Other actors considered for the role of Jack Torrance. Anybody want to take any guesses real quick? You'll be wrong.
Yeah, no, I'll be wrong.
Rob.
Fuck it. Just
Okay.
go for it.
All right. Christopher Reeve,
Huh.
Martin Sheen. Maybe. I could give a maybe to Martin Sheen. Maybe. Leslie Nielsen.
Oh my God.
Leslie Nielsen.
Leslie Nielsen.
From The Naked Gun
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
and Creep Show.
And
He-
finally, and this is... Huh?
He is pretty creepy in Creep Show. Like, he does a pretty solid job in Creep Show.
Nielsen, honestly, like he's got range, and I honestly would kind of like to see him have done. I wish he had done more things that were like. I would have liked to see him in more horror. I guess is what I'm getting at.
I would too,
but not like obviously it's you're comparing an iconic performance to any of these people, so they're all going to look like shit comparatively in our fantasy. But here's the coup de grace, which I think is hilariously misguided. Chevy Chase. National Lampoon's Christmas.
Dude.
not at all, man. Not at all.
Dude, I don't know. Like, part of me wants to, I mean, no,
I want to see that.
but yeah,
Chevy.
like, I like what.
With Holiday Road on the soundtrack and shit. I want that fucking.
I mean, dude has some solid freakouts. I mean, we know
when they're
he's
driving,
got-
when they're driving to the hotel, that's what's playing. And then you got the blonde that drives up in the red convertible, and he's all flirting with her. I want to see
my
that
God.
fucking movie. I want to
really
see
wanna
that.
See that fucking.
Fucking
It would be
Shining
dog.
parody.
Oh my God!
Holiday
They
Road.
wanted him for Jack Torrance for real, though. Somebody was floating fucking Chevy Chase on that role.
That's funny as fuck.
I mean,
Gotta have a no, man.
I can't imagine that relationship between Kubrick and Chevy Chase would have lasted. Knowing what I know about both of those men, they would have eaten each other fucking alive. Actually,
Here's
probably Chevy Chase would have
Chevy.
gotten straight up and shot back. I'll kill you. I'll kill you. Yeah. So let your imagination run wild on that shit. That's all I got for Stephen King Doesn't Want to Get It.
Solid.
That last part was
Solid.
an offshoot.
Very good.
There's so much trivia about this fucking movie. You could focus on any part of this movie and talk about it for our full episode. I love. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking about this movie, and so, like we had already talked about, so many of the things that are iconic, and just thinking about how some movies are made now, or how people think about doing things. Like, really, like you said, everyone knows the twin girls in the hallway. Like, that's such a thing, you know. But really, it's only used like the one time. Like, they show up in the game room when he first shows up. But I'm saying it's like they don't just like hammer it into the fucking ground, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of shit like The Conjuring, where they kind of like they're doing this Crooked Man movie or some bullshit, you know, where it's just like the Crooked Man. It's like these iconic scenes, like even when she's running down the hallway and the dude's like, or the blowjob scene or whatever, that literally, like, it just happens and it's like 2 seconds worth of film and then that's it. And that's so iconic and people know it so well and they don't have to shove it down your fucking throat, you know? It's so brilliant.
That's the downside of like modern horror movies. Love to fall into the same pits. Like, it's not just modern, it's over the course of all horror, really. There's always this temptation to over explain shit. The Crooked Man scene where he, like, the dog turns into the Crooked Man and shit, I actually kind of like that. Nobody else seems to, but for me it was cool. The problem I have with it is that you saw it coming a mile away in almost every respect except for the dog part of it, because they talk about the fucking Crooked Man for about 10 minutes. Nobody needs to know about the goddamn Crooked Man in advance. You don't have to tell us that those little girls are there. You could just let it happen and then just let us deal with it as viewers and be uncomfortable with the not having an explanation. That's part of the horror. So having too much explained, as always, is a huge potential problem, and I think that this movie sidesteps that entirely by giving you absolutely no definitive resolution on anything except for the survival of our characters or non-survival.
This is one of those movies that has, like, it's got to have the most iconic scenes in it from any movie we've talked about that I can think anyways. Like, usually there's one or two, like if you're talking about like a classic horror movie, there's like one or two scenes that you can really reference that everybody would know exactly what you're talking about. This movie has like a dozen, like easily. It's and like you guys said, they happen like so quickly and so flippantly. It's like Kubrick's just pulling gold out of his ass without even like really trying. But didn't they? I don't know exactly how long it took to shoot this movie, but didn't they film for like over 2 years or something crazy like that? Do you guys know?
How could they with a kid?
I don't know.
They filmed you might be right, but it's like a lot of that's probably more post-production than anything, and getting reshoots and things like that.
Yeah.
Like I don't have that information directly in front of me, but I wouldn't doubt it. I know that I have another section that I'm calling Here's Johnny Redux, and that has everything to do with Here's Johnny scene. And basically it took, according to this bit of trivia, it took like a year to really get it right. Yeah. Like to really like hone in on the like perfect shot, or I'm sorry, I have that backwards. I'm looking at the trivia now. It was the blood scene that took like a year for them to get right, even though they only did it in 3 shots, which is unheard of for Kubrick to do that few shots. They did it in 3 shots, but they must have tested it for months.
What blood?
The blood
scene?
Coming out of the elevator.
Oh, okay.
The elevator scene, I guess I should say. Like, because he kept saying, that doesn't look like blood. And for me, still doesn't, but whatever. Like, I think that's interesting, though, that like people are counting it as a 2-year production time for things like that. I don't know if most movies would get that credit. I think it's just the mythos of this film and Kubrick being conditionally satisfied about everything, like completely unsatisfied all the time with all of his
like
shots.
100 takes and crazy shit like that. He's an anal motherfucker.
And since we're on the subject, that's a heavy segue to a little sides trivia segment that I like to call Stanley Kubrick, a brilliant dickhead. So we're going to go through many much trivia bits here about how Stanley Kubrick is an insane person, or was rather, and was probably not a very nice guy. Ready?
Fun.
Yeah.
For everyone.
All right. Despite Stanley Kubrick's fierce demand on everyone, Jack Nicholson admitted to having a good working relationship with him. It was with Shelley Duvall that he was a completely different director. He allegedly picked on her more than anyone else, as seen in the documentary Making The Shining and Stanley Kubrick: A Life in Pictures. He would really lose his temper with her, even going as far as to say that she was wasting the time of everyone on the set. She later reflected that he was probably pushing her to her limits to get the best out of her, but that she wouldn't trade the experience for anything, but it was not something she ever wished to repeat. Now, building on that, Shelley Duvall suffered from nervous exhaustion throughout filming, including physical illness and hair loss.
Jeez, man.
Hair loss. If you push your actors to fucking hair loss to get a performance out of them, kind of fuck you. I mean, great film, fuck you. I think that needs to be said.
She is like kind of crazy now, right? Like literally, like she has mental illnesses and stuff going on.
I think that's accurate, but I don't want to speak out of turn. I don't have that information.
She kind of looks, I've mentioned this in our past viewings before, she kind of looks like Steve Buscemi.
They look like they could be related.
Well, no, honestly, to me, it's more the eyes. Steve Buscemi's got like those big kind of like bulging eyes, and I guess like when she's freaking out, obviously they're more like bold. But like she like kind of looks like she could be Steve Buscemi's like sister. I don't know. I've always thought that.
Building once more on Shelley Duvall. The DVD commentary track for Making The Shining, Vivian Kubrick, reveals that Shelley Duvall received, quote, no sympathy at all from anyone on set. This was apparently Stanley Kubrick's tactic in making her feel utterly hopeless. This was most evident in the documentary when he tells Vivian, quote, don't sympathize with Shelley. Kubrick then goes on to tell Duvall, quote, it doesn't help you.
No. That's so wild.
What a dick.
But also too, like, what cameraman's not gonna be like? I don't know. That seems really strange. Like everybody's just gonna treat her like shit just because the director says treat her like shit.
Hey, the director can fire you. That's your boss.
Yeah,
and you're working in an artistic field where people are supposed to act kind of weird a lot. Let's see. There were so many changes.
Told me to just treat somebody like shit, I'd be like, okay. Like, I mean, And then I just wouldn't like, or
Yeah.
I mean, like worst case scenario, it's just like, you know, when the shoot's done or when you're having lunch or we're like, hey, what's going on? How's your day? I mean, you can still be a fucking decent human being. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, the question isn't whether or not you would do it or whether or not people actually did it. It sounds like most people did. But the question is, or the problem is that a director, your boss, told everyone in the office to treat you like shit to make you do better at your job.
Yeah.
That
It's fucked
sucks.
Yeah, I feel you.
So Shelley Duvall apparently went on Dr. Phil about 2 years ago, and I guess this was like right after Robin Williams committed suicide, and I guess, you know, they were friends, they'd worked together and stuff. And she was saying stuff like she didn't believe Robin Williams was actually dead, that he was just shape-shifting into different things, and that she also believed she had some sort of worry disc implanted in her body to like make her worry about stuff. I don't know. So she's got some stuff going on.
That's a bummer.
Yeah. And
Shelley, we love you. Don't do that.
she's
She's got to be like
Maybe she does.
She's got to be like getting up there in age though too.
She was 67 during this interview, so I guess she's like
Yeah.
69 now. So pushing 70. Yeah.
Look, I mean, my worry disc is pretty faulty. So, I mean, good for her for having
I
one
don't
that
give
works.
two shit. So.
Yeah, yours is fucked. My worry disc is on the fritz. So, here's some more.
That's pretty sad though.
Yeah.
Here's some more. Stanley Kubrick, a brilliant dickhead. Saul Bass, who all designers in the world probably know, very famous graphic designer, reportedly produced around 300 versions of the film's poster before Stanley Kubrick was satisfied.
Damn.
300.
Randy, you're the fucking graphic designer. You imagine that right now. Take a second and imagine developing 300.
That's, in my mind, that's professional terrorism. That is as bad as telling people to treat like shit at the office. That like 300, like poor Saul Bass. For knowledge sake, Saul Bass is brilliant, and he he's best known for basically revolutionizing fucking title card sequences in movies. He worked with Hitchcock all the time. He fucking made dozens of logos that are still in use or were used for years and years. The fucking FedEx logo, I think. No, that wasn't him. Sorry. Not FedEx. What am I thinking of? Anyway, he's all over the fucking place. He's great. And it hurts my fucking soul to know that somebody as good and talented as him had to go through such hell because of one fucking dickhead artist.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing though. It's like like you said, the double-edged sword kind of. Kubrick was a dick, but it's because he had a vision in his head and knew what perfection would be, knew what it would be like to be. And so that's what he demands. And here we are like 30 years later saying like, what a brilliant, amazing film this would be. It wouldn't be it without him, you know? So like, it's like, damn, that really does suck that people treat Shelley Duvall like shit. But at the same time, it's like the art and like, you know, like, I don't know.
How many people are you willing to throw in the volcano for a good harvest? That's the question you have to ask.
I mean, it's like
Stanley Kubrick decided all of them. All of them can go in the volcano for my good harvest. And like the morality of that is what I question. There's a reason that this segment is called fucking Stanley Kubrick, brilliant dickhead.
Well, it's like that. Yeah, I've never actually seen it, but it's like the Rob would know. What's that like jazz movie? Rob, the kid, he goes to college and he plays the drums. Yeah, Whiplash, and the dude, he's like a brilliant teacher, and he makes everybody like the best fucking jazz musician in the world. But he's like a huge. Yeah, see, it's like the same thing though. It's like, do you want to be like? I guess that's the question. You know, that kind of that. It's like, do you want to be the best? And people are like, yes, I want to be the best, or I want to make the best film. And it's like, are you willing to do it? And they say, yes, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. People say that shit all the time. Like they have a drive, they have a push. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. But then it's like, are you really though? Like there's a reason people say that. Like it's not fucking easy to make perfect art.
Okay. But yes, but also that assumes to some extent that you cannot make the movie that you want without being a dickhead. And what are your favorite movies? I'll bet you there's at least one movie that you love that you think is perfect the way it is, that has a director that is universally loved. Steven Spielberg is a guy who most people who work with him.
No, yeah, I'm not saying it's necessary to make it. I'm just saying, like
to me, that's what makes the difference. Like it's not a matter of like if it's not really a question of how many people do you throw in the volcano. It's, are you willing to throw people in the volcano to make your good movie? Or are you going to go the other route and do it a way that's less direct and have to do it a fucking, like, what's your approach? If your approach is being a dickhead, fine. You make the art you make good art. Good job. But you're still a dickhead. You're sacrificing something to do that. That's not like, moral judgments aside, you're making the sacrifice of your own personal, like morality in order to make good art. It has to be acknowledged.
I think Spielberg's a dick, actually. So you're wrong.
Is he?
No, I'm just kidding.
I thought you were saying. I was like, I'm sure there are people that think so, and maybe they can enlighten me. I'm more than willing to hear them out on Spielberg being a dick stories. But
there's a really great Spielberg documentary on HBO that it's pretty long and it covers like his entire career. I highly recommend you watch it. I think it's just called Spielberg, actually. Super good.
Produced by Amblin Entertainment.
Yeah.
The chef's name it's Halloran, right?
Yes.
Scatman's his name.
Dick Halloran.
Scatman. Dude, really quick.
Yeah.
I love this scene.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Dude. Interjected into the middle of this movie, and also it's just kind of like his serious disposition throughout it. It like always cracks me up, and knowing like the things about like Kubrick too, like just it's like a joke, kind of. It's like
it's a visual joke for sure.
It's like somebody super serious telling like a totally like subtle joke, and you're to where you have to be like, oh wait, fuck, did you just tell a joke? But it's like a really fun, like, I don't know. I fucking love that bedroom.
It's like somebody brilliant. It's like if like the most brilliant fucking professor you have at college or something is giving this amazing lecture, and it's like enlightening your world or some shit, and then all of a sudden he makes like a dirty bar joke in the middle of it. And that dirty bar joke has never been funnier than in the context of a fucking serious ass classroom.
I don't know. I love that scene because also too, on top of it, the visuals in it are amazing. Yeah. Like just like the color palette, like it's just like it's just it's an additional scene that's brilliantly shot, but like the context of it and the placement in the film is so wild that it always cracks me up.
It's like the slow pan away from his face as he's like chilling on his bed. And then you just see his nudies hanging up on the wall.
On both sides. Both sides.
Surrounded by nudies.
The double dip. It reminds me of your dad, too. That's kind of the thing, too. We always come back to Rob's dad, but it's just kind of that thing, He's like a down-to-earth, hard-working man. He's just chilling in his bedroom, and that's what he likes. He's got the, give a damn to who comes in and doesn't approve. He's got the tasteful nudies on the wall.
To put it in context, Rob's dad recently commented the phrase atomic dildo on my Facebook wall and misspelled it. So it says atomic dido, which is maybe the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. So this is the man we're comparing to.
I love
atomic
my
dido. Man's a genius.
Fucking great.
Speaking of Scatman and speaking of Stanley Kubrick being a dick, Jack Nicholson suggested Scatman Carruthers for this film. Carruthers had a tough time with this movie, with Stanley Kubrick making him do over 100 takes for one scene. Carruthers' next film, Bronco Billy, directed by Clint Eastwood, who's famous for generally only going with one take. He was on this movie with Clint Eastwood, who's famous for one take. Carruthers broke down in tears of gratitude on his first scene in the film when he realized he wouldn't have to do endless takes over and over again. This man has a talent for breaking people to their core. It is like Whiplash. It's like, oh my God, what an asshole. Brilliant asshole.
We should probably get into our ratings.
Yeah. Yeah,
There's so much more trivia.
I imagine it would go on for days.
Yeah, we could make this a 4-hour show if we wanted.
Yeah.
All right.
I hate to be that guy.
We hate that you are that guy.
So, I guess let's go ahead and get into our ratings. Randy, you can kick us off out of 5. How do you feel about The Shining?
Like I said earlier, this is the one that I go to when people ask me what my favorite horror movie is. The elevator pitch answer is The Shining. Nobody ever argues with me. I've yet to have somebody be like, "Really, that piece of shit?" Like, no, nobody's done that.
You're so basic, Randy.
Huh?
You're so
That's
basic.
fine. That's fine. If that means that this is my favorite horror movie, then I can live with that. You guys can keep fucking Halloween, fucking Rob Zombie Halloween if you want.
Thanks.
Whoa, what?
Favorite movie of all time.
Devil's Rejects.
I love. Sorry, my bad. No, I think this is a 5-star movie if there ever was one. Like, I don't. There's not a whole lot that I would change about this because it's a weird alchemy. It's a miracle that this movie came out as good as it did, considering all of the fucking shit that happened behind the scenes with on every level. This should have been a clusterfuck, and it turned out perfect because of whatever perfect mathematics that went into it to make it what it is. Even the things that might have been like something Kubrick would have considered imperfection, even the things that were unintentional, despite all of his attempts to be intentional and everything, it all solidifies into this fucking movie that is a cultural icon for a reason. It's effective, it's beautiful, it's well crafted, or well acted, I guess I should say. Well acted, well designed audio design, good audio design. Like, I can't find a negative for it, so it's a 5-star for me.
All right, Juice, out of 5. How do you feel?
Yeah, this movie is fucking brilliant. Yeah, I mean, it's 5-star. I don't know what else to add. It's just the only thing, like I said, personally for me, holy shit, is it really does, like, it gets under my skin, man. That the soundtrack and like the slow pacing of like some of the shots and stuff like that. It really it drives me like kind of wild. It's I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I get like a physical reaction from watching this film. But it's brilliant. Its acting is great. The sound is great. The story is great. The shots are great. Everything's fucking great, man. Fucking Grady dropping N-bombs. Damn, dude.
Oh, yeah.
That's like, damn.
I forgot about that.
That's the only thing. I always forget about it, too. I'm like, fuck, damn. It's 1980s. Come on now. We're past this.
But that character, what he was supposed to be from...
Yeah, that's true.
However, I forget to the 20s
1920.
Yeah.
I guess that's a good point. But yeah, but 5-star for sure. No doubt. Can't even go higher for the Yabos, you know. It's top notch.
Yeah, man.
5.5.
I meant to ask you earlier, and we got sidetracked. So
I knew you would. I already know what the question is.
Do you still get a half star for old rotten Yabos, or
as the scene was happening, I was like, Rob is literally going to ask me about this.
The Yabos math? You make the rules, man. I don't make the rules.
I don't know, but you also get the bedroom Yabos too, which they're photo Yabos. So I don't know. We haven't really.
You get younger woman Yabos
before
they go rot.
Pre and post rot.
Yeah.
Why?
Maybe it's a wash. Maybe it's a wash.
You can't go higher than 5-star anyways. A man's got a code, Randy.
Oh my god.
Oh,
indeed.
Shit. I'm giving this a 5-star as well. I don't have anything negative to say about it, really at all. Among the many iconic classic scenes we already talked about, we didn't even mention like the whole red rum scene. We didn't really talk about the old lady until just now, which is another like crazy iconic scene, like the whole room 237 spiel. It's just like this movie's gorgeous. Like, Kubrick was a photographer, so like obviously he's got an eye, and he uses it, man. He fucking uses it throughout this whole movie. It's just, you could put this on mute and just watch it in awe, and that's my favorite part about this fucking movie, and that's what eventually like got me into it, because like I said, it took me a few times to watch it before I like really enjoyed it. And for whatever reason, like, I didn't really care about the family dynamic, and I was watching like an old DVD copy. It didn't really look that good, and I like Jack Nicholson's performance, but beyond that, that was it. And I was like, it's just not enough for me. And then I got a copy on Blu-ray, and I watched it on like my parents' 60-inch TV, and like I just fell through the screen immediately. And that was like the first time I was like, holy shit, it's gorgeous. It's like a fucking work of art. Like, I finally kind of got what everybody was talking about. It's great, man. I just love the look of this thing. It's obviously our aggregate's going to be a 5. I got nothing negative to say. Let's go ahead and get into our Rotten Tomatoes segment and see what everybody else thinks in
our
the
Rotten
world.
Yabo segment.
Certified fresh to death.
Take it away, Juice.
Randy, don't treat the Yabos like that. Come on now.
Don't blame me. Blame Coop.
All right, let's go around the room. This will be interesting between the critics and the audience score for such a classic, but it's a horror classic, so you never know where people are going to fall,
Yeah.
So let's find out. Let's start with the critics. We have 73 critic reviews counted. Let's see. This movie is from 1980. They did not have Rotten Tomatoes back then, so I'm not really sure from whence these reviews were counted, but let's see if we can guess anyway. So let's start with Bob. What do you think The Shining got from the critics, Bob?
I'm going to go with an 85.
85. Randy, where are you going to take it?
It really kind of depends on how many were from the years, like early years of this, and I really like, without knowing that, I would just wager a guess that it's maybe half of them. I don't know. That might be, I don't know. I'm going to go with 75. We'll just see 75.
75. Okay. Bob's going to take it. First of all, it is certified fresh. So The Shining, of course, it would be ridiculous if it wasn't, but Bob almost nailed it. It's 86% with an average rating of 8.4 out of 10. So those are pretty like locked in too, which is not always the case. Of the 73 critic reviews counted, 63 are fresh, 10 are rotten. The critic consensus is, though it deviates from Stephen King's novel, Stanley Kubrick's The Shining is a chilling, often Baroque journey into madness, exemplified by an unforgettable turn from Jack Nicholson.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know why they need to even bring up Stephen King in that. This is its own thing to me.
It really is. Yeah. And the only thing I would say about this movie and Stephen King is there are things like I watch it knowing that it's a book and knowing that like maybe the room is explored more in the book, like, or why is it that room, or things like that. And so, and it doesn't bother me because this movie is like brilliant on its own. But I mean, I guess that's the only thing, when you're tied to a work like that and you're going to allude to things that people are just going to assume are explored more in a, in a written piece, then, I guess it's hard to stand completely on your own.
I don't know, man, because I haven't read the book, but I have seen Stephen King's The Shining, the miniseries that came out some years ago, and that's supposed to be like pretty spot on to Stephen King's original work. And man, it doesn't add a whole lot. Like it doesn't add. There's not a lot of things that aren't explained that are. Even if I wanted that, it's not really so much that. There's a little bit of that, but really, it's more of just. It's a different dynamic of the family, and it's not as interesting of one for me. Like it doesn't help that it's not directed by a photographer, like by somebody with the eye of Kubrick.
Yeah,
but setting that aside, and setting that aside, it's.
I don't want to watch that.
I don't know. It's like
I'd recommend
the way
watching
it ends. It's not bad. It's not bad.
I like it.
It's just not to me. It's following maybe the toughest act you have to follow with with like an entirely different feel. Basically, for my money, it's entirely different, and I don't particularly care for it by comparison. But
you can't compare them. Yeah, it's just unfair to compare.
They're just
them.
so different. It's unfair. Yeah, I mean, even if you do it, like you can say one is better than the other, and I do, but they're very different, and they can stand in their own little alleyways of the same corridor. You know, they can be twins in the corridor.
It's definitely made for TV, and you can tell. There's a much slower descent into madness for Jack in the made for TV one, and it's also like there's like this whole thing in the book where like the boiler is some sort of metaphor for Jack's character, and that plays a much bigger role in the made for TV version as well. And I do like it a lot, and I recommend watching it for sure. But there's this one scene where like there's like these shrubs that are like shaped into animals on the front lawn in front of the hotel, and then they come to life and like start chasing people around, and it's like horrible cheap CG bushes chasing people. It's
god,
awful. That's the one thing that I can't stand.
That's straight from the book too.
Yeah, that's so dumb, man.
There was no hedge maze in the book. It's all those fucking things.
Interesting.
Hedge maze,
as I understand,
much better.
Yeah, it also is. It's like thematically more appropriate.
Yeah,
just saying.
All right, well, let's get into our audience score. There is a large user rating on this one. 480,000 people have rated this on Rotten Tomatoes under the audience score. So let's flip it. Let's let Randy go first on the audience score. Randy?
90.
90, Bob.
86.
86. Randy's going to take it away.
Randy.
This is a 93%.
Nice.
So certified fresh all around for show. The Shining. I'm a little surprised at the critics at the 86, but let me see maybe what a negative shock effect and graphic imagery don't compensate for the sense of pointlessness and even distaste that is left at the end of the movie. Rating 2 out of 4. Fuck
what's
you,
the point in telling any story?
Ernest?
What's the point in telling stories, guys? Come on, Ernest. Let's just jerk each other off all day.
From the New York Daily News, you dumb piece of shit.
You ignorant slut.
Straight Chilling Podcast here to tell you that your reviews are stinkers.
We're starting beef with fucking Ernest. All right.
You, Ernest.
That's the end of our Rotten Tomatoes segment. We've got enough beef going around. We'll keep it at 1 for today. No need to read any more rotten
We're
reviews.
just a straight up. Just call us Arby's because we're serving the beef around here.
The sloppiest beef.
We have the
sloppy
meats.
ass beef. We have the meats.
Yeah, we do.
For fucking sure.
You know,
fucking Arby's is the sloppiest shit I've ever seen, dude.
So if Arby's was a person, it would be a guy with an half untucked shirt and a mustard stain all the way down.
Sloppier, dude. Something sloppier, but
Just
on
woke
point.
up,
He needs a couple more. He's like really sweaty too. He's just like
he's sweaty, but he also has like one of those like a child has Kool-Aid ring of dirt around him.
Yeah, that's better.
Arby.
Sloppy. Ooh.
That's Mr. Arby. You don't need to go hang out with Mr. Arby.
Arby's gave me food poisoning a few Thanksgivings ago, and I was just
and a partridge in a fucking pear tree.
Shitting and puking my brains out for 2 days straight. It was a fucking nightmare.
That sucks on Thanksgiving.
You know,
Yeah, I couldn't eat
I
it,
remember
yeah.
that promotion.
We'll clean you out.
Every 20 guests get salmonella. It's our Willy Wonka.
Hey, you know what we got to do? We got to talk about the Cooter of the Week.
Cooter of the Week.
Who the fuck is the Cooter of the Week?
Spin that wheel.
Cooter of the Week. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's like 2-3 characters in this movie.
Yeah. I mean, Jack he's got some Cooter tendencies going on, but I don't know if he qualifies enough to be a full Cooter.
I don't think so.
No, he's not a cooter, and there's nobody else.
The only one that ticks up the radar slightly to me.
What about
Yeah,
what about a ghost cooter, Grady?
Oh, Grady dropping N-bombs?
Yeah,
Well,
and
we
he
don't
seems
get
to be
enough-
manipulative.
Yeah, but we don't get enough of him.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's manipulative, but he dresses nice and he sounds awesome. His, like,
Yeah.
I corrected them.
He's very convincing. His
what about-
manipulation is on point.
What about old Rotten Yabo's ghosty? Sexual deviance,
she's a-
manipulation.
Maybe the whole hotel
Manipulation?
I think the whole hotel might be our best candidate for cooter.
That's true.
It's
The first inanimate
ghost
object as a cooter? We talked
The
about this
hotel.
at one point. Can an object be a cooter? Is it the hotel?
Well, it obviously has a will. It has a will and
Dude.
presentation.
It was built on
I-
an Indian burial ground. So
I wish the thing that would really push the hotel to be a cooter, I wish this were the case, is if you guys were talking about it had some special hedges that were cut up like animals, but if it had like some Yabos like hedges or something like that, then we could definitely stick it with the cooter tag. But
it's got
unfortunately-
furries giving blowjobs in it. So
Yeah,
that's
it's got
got to count.
does.
furries, and it's
Does.
got rotten yabos, and it's got I don't know. It's got murdered little children. I mean, that's pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
I don't know. If we're gonna go that, if we gotta label something, I think it'd
certainly
be
the most. It's the closest object that's ever come
Yeah.
close to a cooter title. I don't know if there'd be another one, but yeah, I guess. I don't want to taint
I
our
feel like-
data, you know. I mean, it's precious, and we got to do our. We got to do our. We got to do. We can mention this as like an outlier in our cooter episode, our dedicated cooter episode, but
It's a cooter artifact.
Should we take a minute
Reminiscent.
to remind everyone what a cooter is, just in case they're unaware? First time listeners.
I don't know if we can. I think if you want to be a cooter hunter, if you want to know the deets, if you want to get in on it, you got to hit us up on the Slack channel. We've got a dedicated cooter tab there. So I mean,
We
it
do.
really, I don't think we can get into it on the cast. It's too much to cover. It's too much.
If you're
But-
wondering what a cooter is, do not look it up on the internet, for you will come up empty. We are pioneering this research, and you need to come directly to the horse's mouth, and we are that horse's mouth. So
We
come
have-
to our Slack channel.
You
Go to
gotta
our Slack channel, get on that cooter tab, and we'll talk all about it.
you gotta give them at least the 4 points, the 4 categories in which we score.
Yeah. So what are we
Maybe
grading now? We're grading on manipulation,
Yeah.
Appearance.
appearance,
Yeah.
sexual deviancy.
Yeah.
And
There's
we always
something
forget
else.
the fourth one.
Something
we
else.
always,
I think we even had 5 at one point.
we
but,
always forget it. Well, we had talked about overall kind of shittiness.
Oh,
as,
yeah, I think, like,
maybe a
deserving of
fifth
death.
point.
being deserving of murder or like
How do we always forget this last one?
I
Hang on.
don't know.
I have the chart starred on my thing, so let me just pull it up real quick.
we are the best researchers you know. And we're researchers.
We've come a long way in building the cooter profile.
Yes,
but
but
we've learned nothing.
there's 4 points. I don't know. The hotel could hit some of those, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about the
I mean-
appearance because it's got some swag.
The appearance is dope. Yeah, the
Yeah.
fucking carpet and that ballroom or what? Not the gold room or dude. That shit is swanky. It's
The golden
fucking
ballroom,
Lloyd,
yeah.
man.
I went to the Stanley Hotel this year,
You
just for a few
slut.
minutes, which is what inspired the book. And I almost ordered a drink at the bar, but I had to drive out, so I couldn't do that.
Oh,
But-
Randy.
It's not as open and big as this studio was that they filmed in. So it's not as like I don't know. It doesn't have the vaulting ceilings quite so high or anything like that. But it is fucking awesome anyway. Like it is very much like an old like spooky hotel. Although they obviously maintain it very well, and they've actually put in a hedge maze because
Very
people love
nice.
fucking movies so much, and it's about hip high right now. So go check it out.
Can you stay there? You can
Stay there.
right?
Yeah, they've actually expanded with like 4 or 5 other buildings too. But we walked mostly through the main building, and they let you look around. They have a little store where you can buy shit that says red rum for too much money. It's great.
Red rum for too much
For
money.
too much money. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. I think Rob, you said they were putting in a horror museum there at some point, right? that's not come to fruition as far as I could tell. But
Yeah, that's what I heard, which I don't know. That sounds cool enough, but I kind of hope they keep it a hotel because I really would like to go there.
I don't think I don't think that they're not going to have people staying there. They have too many fucking hotel rooms there now. They have like like 5 buildings total, I think. And it's like in a beautiful location. Yeah, it's in Estes Park in Colorado. It's fucking gorgeous. And it would be foolish of them to not let people stay there anymore. But I'm sure they'll just, probably, I don't know, turn some conference room into a fucking museum room or some shit.
Okay, let's Juice, did you find that other one, that other point?
Dude, I'm still looking.
All right, well, whatever. Hooters, look them up by coming to our Slack channel.
I don't know how we have let this happen.
We'll get back to you.
Reach out to us, and we'll get you on our Slack, and you can ask us directly, and Justin will get his shit together.
I got it. Smug arrogance, motherfucker.
The arrogance.
Dude, Grady's arrogant. Grady's arrogant. He's a cocky.
I'm sorry to differ with you, sir.
Smug, and I took care of it or whatever.
I corrected them.
I corrected, and then he was like, "We don't think your heart's in it, Mister." Like he's like, well, I guess that's kind of manipulation, but he's got some arrogance. Old Grady, he might be the closest. He's dropping the N-bombs. He does look swanky though, so he doesn't hit that point. He doesn't hit the attire. Smug arrogance, manipulation, sexual deviancy, attire, and maybe like a ghost point of overall shittiness.
Ghost shittiness.
Ghost shit. All right, let's go ahead and round the show out with a bit of horror news.
Extra, read all about it.
We got a trailer for a new movie that is being produced by Mr. James Gunn, the man that got fired by Disney and stuff.
That pedophile.
Oh, God.
Man after Rob's own heart.
Oh, my God, dude. Don't start that shit. This movie's called Brightburn. I don't want that to be a fucking ongoing joke. That's not a good one. The movie's called Brightburn. It's going to be directed by David Yarovesky, who has previously directed The Hive. Produced by Gunn. It's going to be starring Elizabeth Banks. Going to be hitting the theaters May 24th, 2019. This trailer looks interesting. What did you guys think about it?
Dude, this is a Superman horror film.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's some Kal-El shit for sure.
I mean, and they're not hiding it. In fact, some of the shots in this trailer directly mimic, and even the soundtrack mimic, like some recent DC stuff, like whether it be like the shots of Superman and Injustice or like the Man of Steel like trailers and shots. Like it's directly mimicking that. Like,
do we think I don't know. I feel like I know this isn't the case, but my mind immediately went into Cloverfield mode. I was like, is this like some subversive entry into the DC universe where it's like Earth 2113 or something variation? And instead of fucking Kal-El becoming Superman, he becomes, I don't know, it turns out to be Grodd or not Grodd, excuse me. What's that fucker's name?
Yeah, like the Bizarro or something.
Yeah. What is whatever, but you get the idea. Like I was wondering if maybe it was some like entry into a big sweeping DC storyline, the way that Marvel introduced Infinity Gauntlet, but not using the same methods. Instead, using a Cloverfield method of sneaking it in.
Well, and they're also doing that Joker movie, which is like really dark and it's got Joaquin Phoenix in it. Yeah. So I mean, they might just be like, they might have like tried their hand at like the universe and like bombed and been like, fuck it, let's just do wild shit. I mean, which I would be down for, because I'm super intrigued from the Joaquin Phoenix like Joker movie, because they're like, it's like its own thing. They're not trying to like build anything off of it. And if they made like a horror Superman movie, that would be cool. Like, I don't know.
But what do we think about it not being Superman? Like, obviously, it's obviously Superman. Let's just assume that it's not related, though.
Yeah,
not intellectual property related. Like, if that's the case, what do we think of it? Because I don't have a big issue with it, because I mean, horror movies have built out of samey, like, they pulled out of similar wells from other stuff before.
Well, and the fact that it's not intellectually like linked, if it wasn't, and I'm just assuming that it's not, obviously, but that's fine with me because I am interested in seeing a Superman horror movie. So if they can get away with that, I'm fine with that. If his name isn't like he's drawing this weird design, like if that were. He's wearing a red cape. He's
wearing a red cape.
It's like
he's wearing a red cape and a mask, but it's a red cape.
And he has the powers. He flies. Yeah. He's fast. He's got heat vision.
Town. He's got heat vision and Jack. But
his ship is in a barn. I mean, it's fucking Superman.
That is fucking Superman. It's fucking Superman. Like I don't know how you like. I don't even think they're like you said. I don't think they're bothering to hide it.
No,
they're just saying what if.
Producing it is also really intriguing too, because he got fired from Marvel and he's always been like a quirky kind of guy, and he got picked up by DC. I think he signed on to do the next Suicide Squad. So even like just like throwing his name on there, like, oh, produced by Jane, it makes me think like, well, like what the fuck? Like what's going on here? I don't know. I haven't done like, any research into like what studio is, or like I don't know.
I don't either.
And the thing, I don't really. Okay, well, Warner Brothers does DC, so like that's the thing. I don't really care if like it's tied in any way to like an existing. Like it is Superman.
That's the thing. I don't care either. Like it's. I don't even honestly like. I would like it obviously to be good. I'd rather there be more good movies than bad. But to me, it just kind of like it doesn't excite me. Like I don't really care about seeing an evil Superman story because I've seen it because I've read comics before. So, I mean, to me, like as a horror, I mean, sure, we can give it a shot. I don't have a problem with that. I would prefer that it not be intellectually linked, although I do think that's an interesting idea. I don't actually think that it would be to the benefit of this movie to be intellectually linked to anything that has baggage like that.
I agree. Yeah.
So for me, it's like, you know, to me, it's just like any other movie that I don't really care that much about and might be good, might be bad, but we'll find out. Like I don't have a strong supposition about it beyond that.
Yeah, well, I know there's just a couple things that makes it intriguing just from a horror fan standpoint and just kind of like a movie fan standpoint, just in general, is I know like New Mutants got pushed back and is going to drop, and everybody was teasing that like, oh, that was going to be like a horror themed like superhero movie. And then we've started getting movies like Deadpool, which is an R-rated, superhero movie, which makes a lot of money. And at the same time, you've had like Halloween fucking make a ton of movie. It make a ton of movie. The Nun and The Conjuring and all that.
Ton of money.
I mean, a ton of money. Oh my God. Thank you. A ton of money. So I like the idea, not just like, oh, let's make superhero movies horror, that'll work too. I like the idea of these like genre bending, like people willing to take more risk outside of what people would think would be acceptable or would make money or would be like I'm intrigued by that idea that somebody would be like, fuck it, let's make a Superman horror movie because look at all these, because it can be profitable, because look at all these other things that horror's not profitable or R-rated superhero movies aren't profitable. Like I like that idea that people would be willing to take more chances and be able to like kind of genre bend in that way.
I think we full on entered the what if stage of comic book movies where that is possible. Or like you said, with comics for a long time, they kind of like Spider-Man was Spider-Man, fucking Superman was Superman, and you had their main storylines. Eventually they started having like Spectacular Spider-Man and fucking Amazing Spider-Man and all these different
variations. Like the noir Batman where it's like 1920s and shit.
Yeah, you could have like Gotham Gaslight and shit like that.
Yeah.
And have what ifs, like in the I think 90s the what if started happening where it's like, what if Hulk was actually not Bruce Banner, it was Lex Luthor or some shit. Like, or what if Superman met Captain America? Like you could just do, we're entering that phase in comic book movies now where those people will throw money at that because the regular superhero movies, while still profitable, are becoming staid and repetitious at this point. So they might, who knows? Like, it's like the Split and Glass, those movies, like those aren't obviously from existing properties, but the way that those were done, like, was successful. The way that it was like subversively a sequel to a movie that everybody had like long since forgotten or not been paying attention to for some time. I don't know. I think anything's possible with these intellectual properties. They're being more daring with them because I think people are becoming bored enough with the original intellectual property that they're okay with adding a twist of some kind. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Gotham by Gaslight movie next for Batman. Like a next standalone Batman movie probably is going to have some crazy twist like that.
Yeah, and honestly, I'd be fine with it at this point because, like you said, like it's getting to the point. Like, okay, we saw like Infinity War, and like I like those movies and stuff, but it's like you can't keep it going forever. I would
kind of done with it after that.
Yeah, I would be more interested now in seeing like I don't have to see Ben Affleck be fucking Batman every time. Like I don't like grab a dude, make Gotham by Gaslight, make a fucking Superman horror movie. Like that's cool. Like I don't know, I'm down with that. I'm down. I'm down with the idea that big ass studios that aren't known for taking risk would be willing to risk those kind of things because I think those movies could be interesting to watch. And if they're given the freedom and the budgets to do it, then they could be really good, like interesting films.
They're like, people are getting less and less thrill from the synergy of having multiple movies with different names that also tie in together. Like we've seen Spider-Man, owned by another studio, go to fucking Marvel Studios and be in the new Marvel, and everybody's making money or whatever. People are now we're in a post Spider-Man cross studio world where people aren't going to be shocked if suddenly Deadpool showed up, at least as like a reference or something, in one of the new Marvel movies. Probably not Avengers, maybe not anytime soon, who knows, but like it wouldn't be that shocking anymore. So the way to shock people now, or the way to get people intrigued now, is by saying is doing the opposite and saying like, this is a standalone movie about evil Superman.
Yeah.
This is, if Superman actually wasn't Bruce Banner or whatever, Kal-El, but was whatever like the evil version of him was, not Khan, but for whatever that guy was in the.
You're mixing all kind of.
Yeah, I can't think of his fucking name, and it's driving me nuts.
Let's
Lex
move
Luthor,
on.
Bruce Banner.
Let's
you know what I'm saying.
Let's
I know.
Keep trucking. Keep an eye out for that shit come May 24th, 2019. I'm sure we'll be talking about it. There is another film coming out that's going to be part of that Into the Dark series on Hulu. So what they've been doing is these have been coming out the first Friday of every month. They're since the next one coming out is going to be a New Year's related movie, they're going to release it a little early. It's going to be dropped on December 28th, so you can watch it before New Year's. The plot centers on a group of old high school friends who reunite in a house for New Year's Eve, where they're forced to confront traumas from their past. It's an all-female cast, apparently. It's going to be starring Suki Waterhouse, which she was in The Bad Batch. She's the main chick from The Bad Batch, which we talked about.
The movie was terrible.
Not a great movie, but I thought she did a really good job in it.
Not her fault.
Her. It's directed by Sophia Takal. It's going to be called New Year, New You. So
I saw that trailer. Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, they're 3 for 3 in my opinion. So I'm excited to see this next one. Man, I hope they're all, good. I don't want to.
Are they all full length movies?
Yeah, they're all around 80, 90 minutes. So they're so far, anyways. They have been. Yeah, it's like a new feature a month.
I don't know if I can get Hulu here. Shudder needs to get on the stick and get their dicks into fucking South Korea quick.
Who doesn't?
Fuck South Korea with your dick, Shudder.
Whoa, Bob.
No, I meant that's exactly what you said.
Bob.
That's what you want.
Bob.
All right.
We're mixing
the last bit of news we have, which we have talked about this before, but I wanted to bring it up again because everybody knows that Bobby Bibbs is one of our favorite people on the face of the earth right now. And by Bobby
Bibbs.
By Bobby Bibbs, I mean Joe Bob Briggs.
Richard Bibbs. My boy Rich.
Dick
Bibbs.
Dick Bibs. TM. So he's returning Friday, December 21st with his A Very Joe Bob Christmas.
Oh, yes.
He's going to be showing 4 movies, all from a single franchise. And I guess it's going to represent the, quote, spirit of the drive-in Christmas. So it starts at 9 o'clock, 4 movies back to back.
So excited.
I'm fucking stoked for it too. Just he's got a little trailer, a short little trailer you can watch where he talks about it, and just listening to that man say anything is joyous for whatever reason.
Wait, what night is it?
December 21st.
Fucking shit.
Yeah, you're traveling, aren't you?
Yeah, I'll be flying through the air with the greatest of ease.
Oh, okay.
Swag brag.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited. To my knowledge, there is no Christmas horror franchise that exists outside of, well, at least not in that quantity, besides Silent Night, Deadly Night, which is the first one is like is a must watch every year for me. I fucking adore that. And I at first assumed that they were just leaving off Silent Night 5, but I don't think that's the case anymore, because Silent Night 2 is like 50% of it is footage from Silent Night 1, Silent Night, Deadly Night 1. So I think they might just gloss over Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, which is kind of a shame.
I had this exact same thought, and I was going to bring it up. So there's 5 Silent Night movies. They're only showing 4. What I thought he was going to do is skip over 4 and just go straight to 5, because 4 is like damn near unwatchable. It is.
I don't even remember what 4 is.
You don't think he's going to do he's going to throw Black Christmas in there or anything?
No, it's all from the same franchise.
No, it's all from one franchise.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, I'm not paying attention. Sorry.
I know.
That's the one with, it's got fucking Clint Howard in it. I don't remember this one. That's not good.
I think
to hear Bibbs talk about and host that second one,
it'd be fucking great.
I kind of would to know more about. I think they might gloss it though, and honestly, I would be happier if they glossed 4, because I don't remember shit about 4, but I know that 5 has Mickey Rooney in it, and there's some interesting shit about him, like straight up lobbying against the original Silent Night, Deadly Night film,
and
because he didn't like.
3 is insane. Like, so I feel like 1, 2, 3 are a lock, and then it's like, are they going to do 4 or 5? I think skipping 4 would be preferable to me, anyways. Just go to 5.
Yeah, actually, 4. You might be right, because 4. I'm just now remembering it from looking at Google image search. 4 is one that literally has almost nothing to do with
the
Christmas.
Bugs, right? The weird bugs.
Yeah, there's a bug coming out of a woman's mouth, and then there's like a dude with a dick nose, and like. Yeah, I think you might be right about that.
I'd love it.
I think you might be right.
Weird. Yeah, it's got like nothing to do with Christmas. And to be fair, part 3 has essentially nothing to do with Christmas either. It looks like it's shot in the middle of fucking summer, if I remember correctly.
So did the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The extra 15 minutes of footage.
Yeah, the new footage, yeah.
And all the new footage looked like it was filmed in Burbank.
Which, to be fair, like when you got such a low budget and you want to release a movie around Christmas, like you got to film that shit like in the summer.
Silent Night 3 is the one where a guy has a dome for a head and you can see his brain.
Yeah.
He looks like a member of Devo or some shit.
Was it Krug? Is that the character from Ninja Turtles?
Diva. Krang?
Krang, man.
Krug.
I'm an old man now. That's all I can say.
Just call me Krug.
There's a really funny joke from 30 Rock that I always remember about Krang, where the dudes they're like always trying to write in a joke about Krang, and she's like, "Stop trying to write in Krang. Nobody knows Krang." And that is clear by Bob's.
Yeah,
I knew him, just not by name.
And unless Joe Bob found some other franchise that I am unaware of, that's got to be what's happening. And I don't, honestly, I can live with anything as long as I get that first one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be down with that. In his little promo that you can watch, he says straight up that the movies don't make a lick of sense. So, I mean, come on.
Yep.
Come on.
It's gotta be.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
That second one. Oh my god.
Shameless. Fucking
I
shameless.
gotta live tweet that shit while I'm flying.
I didn't believe in Santa. Sorry. Broke into Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 talk.
That's it for the news. That's going to be it for us this week here at Straight Chilling HQ. We're going to be back next week with another movie, as always. This is going to be our last Patreon pick for the year. So a quick shout out to our Patreon patron, Matthew. Thank you for supporting the show, man. Matthew,
Also, the man who coined Soul Juice Stain. So, man, the guy really contributes to this cast. Really taking us to the next level.
I need to ask him if he legit just thought you were saying soul juice when you were saying soju, or if it came from somewhere else. I don't know. And maybe we should.
He's brought it up either on the Slack or on maybe Instagram. He's brought it up before, recently, and I think he's just it's cemented. But we can ask him to clarify.
Anyway, Matthew chose Jacob's Ladder, so we're going to be talking about Jacob's Ladder next week. We only got 3 shows left in the year. It's getting down to the wire. Getting down to the wire, boys. So until next week, as always, you can rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. We love getting those ratings and reviews because they help people find us that don't know we exist. It shit helps more than you realize. So if you're unable to support us financially, that's a really quick, easy, free way to support the show, help people find us. Just drop us a rating and a review on iTunes, and may God bless you. Bless your soul. You can also find us on Instagram. I pray for you, brother. You can find us on Instagram at Straight Chilling Podcast. We're on Twitter at STR8_chilling. You can send us an email through our website, straightchillingpodcast.com. And if you want to hit us up on Slack, just let us know. Contact us on any one of those social media platforms I just mentioned and say, hey, I'd like to join you on Slack. I'll send you a link so you can do so. We talk about fun shit all week, every week. Join the party.
In fact, this week, I'm going to post some more Shining trivia on there, I think, because there's so goddamn much of it.
We need to have a Patreon bonus episode just covering fucking Shining trivia.
We really could. Yeah. It's crazy.
Well, we already posted the patron bonus episode of you talking about Halloween again. Halloween 2018 again.
How intriguing.
So that, actually, I don't even think I mentioned that on the show since I posted it. Yeah, if you want to hear Justin rant and rave about Halloween 2018 for another 15 minutes.
Drunkenly.
It's drunkenly rant and rave, yeah. It's posted on our Patreon website. Hop on there, put Justin in your ears, get a little soul juice action. You know you want it.
Just let your soul juice. Go on.
Yeah. I think that's it. That's it for my rant. So, yeah. Jacob's Ladder next week. Until always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.
Naughty.